According to PBS NewsHour in 2017, there are 47% more suicides among the ages 15 to 19 than there were in 2000. Media is affecting the number of suicides. How many people here use social media? Suicides have been on the rise in the past decade, and studies have shown that in the media is a huge part for the rise, as you can see in this diagram. The Center of Disease Control and Prevention states suicides are the second leading cause to death in the United States. I will persuade you on how social media is ruining our mental health and how it is making the suicide number rise. I will talk about cyberbullying, how brains work when on social media, and stories of people who have been affected by social media. Bullying has a major effect on mental health. Everybody knows that it's easier to say things online behind a screen than it is in person. Many researchers have proven that long use and exposure to social media has shown lots of negative outcomes. Some signs of cyberbullying and becoming upset after being on the internet, showing signs of depression and anxiety, and the biggest one is taking their own life. In a pilot study, they surveyed over 130 people, high school students ages 14 to 18. In the study, they split them up into female and male, and they found that 33% of them reported that they were being cyberbullied. Half of them were women, as you can see here. It was also found that not all adolescents were able to cope positively. Lots of them turned to self-harm, which could later end up in ending their life completely. This information was from Timothy Oblode. A case is Phoebe Prince. She was a 15-year-old girl, and she went to South Hadley High School in Massachusetts. Phoebe was an Irish immigrant and just moved to the school. She hung herself in her bedroom 2 days before the winter dance. She passed away because she was being bullied on the internet about her date, a senior football player. She was then subjected to onslaught of bullying and was called awful names on different social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter. I received this information from PeerSite. This is important to know because cyberbullying has a huge impact on mental health and it affects many humans on this earth. Cyberbullying is also taking many lives. Social media has a huge impact on different parts of the brain in unique ways. It has many different types of stimuli that can trigger reactions. Ventral tegment area, or VTA, is primarily for determining the reward systems in our bodies. When someone posts on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, it gets only a certain amount of likes, it will not release a great amount of VTA. Social media can abuse these types of reward systems. Things like gambling and drugs have the same ability to rule the brain's reward system in a similar capacity. Along with the reward system, social media can also affect the brain's decision-making and emotional processing functions. In a study, researchers found that parts of the brain with emotional and sensory processing reacted when they were excluded. Then they went into further research about online exclusion. The same thing happened when adolescents were excluded on online chats or events. There are 5 main reasons why people post on social media, and one of the main ones is being loved. People post on social media to feel some kind of social acceptance from a group or particular individual. This can get to the point where if they do not get what they want, such as likes, they can show signs of depression and anxiety, which then also can lead to suicide. Media affected Nigel, who was a 15-year-old boy. He died earlier this year after coming out as gay. His mother knew he was struggling and having suicide thoughts, but she thought he was doing better after being with a therapist. He started doing normal stuff again, but this is when he was struggling the most. In his suicide letter to his mother, he wrote, "I tried to be normal, but I couldn't. It broke me." CBS News also tells us about Molly and her dad talking about Molly's life. She was described as one of the most caring people and had no idea she was suffering. The thing they found after Molly passed was a club on social media. This club invited people who had depressed thought or were depressed and were self-harming. In this club, it normalized those behaviors, and by the end of her life, she just felt worthless. Another thing that suicide affects is body dysfaction, is when a person has negative feelings or negative attitudes towards their bodies. It is a cultural norm now because of social media. Social media has influenced certain factors like ideal body, weight gain, or personal perceptions. In a study, the media impacted the attitude of women, making her dress a certain way and comparing herself. Women wanted to fix themselves after seeing the ideal body. These concerns sent them depression and suicide thoughts. A poll in the UK found that 1/3 of 4,500 felt anxious about their body. 1 in 8 had suicide thoughts about it. Justin Bravescar, 25, is a filmmaker, blogger, and a health advocate. When he was little, he poured a pan of boiling hot water all over his body, including his neck. He was always self-conscious about it and got made fun of in high school. When he got a little bit older, he had suicidal thoughts about it. When he was even older, he started looking and wanting surgery. A tattoo artist then told him his scars were beautiful, so he turned his thoughts around and he made a tattoo sleeve where his scars remained. Media is known to show awareness so it does not affect suicide numbers. Many platforms like Instagram and TikTok have people who share awareness on social media. They talk about not being alone, and therapists have now gone on social media to help everyone get through their rough times. This is not true, as it is shown that most people give more information. When they're given more information, they're unlikely to change their behaviors or beliefs. It's a waste of money and time, as the ones they're targeting do not listen. Social media has a huge impact on everything in our culture today. Cyberbullying is seen by many teens today and just keeps rising. Media affects our brains negatively and can lead to death. Suicide tends to have an impact on how we view our bodies, and while social media has positive impacts, it has way more negative effects. Courtney Lundow says social media is a public suicide. We are so obsessed with how we appear and somehow lose sense of reality.